Hey everyone, I'm Mithun Datta, and today we are going to discuss this book by Duncan Pitchard called What is this thing called as knowledge? And Raj will be presenting the first three chapters today, and we will be discussing on various aspects of knowledge, what is knowledge, and what role it plays in our life. So, Raj, we are good to go. You may start.
First, discussing the first three chapters from this book. What is this called? So here tries to imply, tries to etymologist, what is knowledge, what knowledge is, requisites that are important to gain knowledge, what are the prerequisites that we have to pass through in order to reach knowledge. So here, lecture, I would like you to do any wrong. Here I start. From the day, first I'll be discussing the first part, knowledge, two basic requirements on knowledge, truth, and belief, the trior and the application, which is called tripartite, knowing versus merely getting it right, and a brief remark on truth. Here, truth is objective as. So, from the day, as we saw in history, from the day we discovered the wheel, and after that we that had happened in our agriculture. After that, we came to know how to cook, harness our resources. So, of knowledge is basically the use of knowledge is mainly applied to us because knowledge is but in some aspects knowledge is not. Come to that part later. So but in some aspect it is not. So with the types of knowledge, here, Shashank, can you show the screen?
You want me to share screen? Yeah, just a second. Want me to share screen? Yeah.
If you can,
So,
it would be good.
can you repeat? So your voice is breaking a lot, Raj. The connection there must be really slow.
Yeah, probably because I'm hardly able to make out what you're saying.
Yeah, it's really hard to make out. I mean, like sometimes it's fine, but in between there is like a huge stretch of your audio.
No issues. Also, I have also done the reading, and Shashank, I think you might have also gone through the first chapter, right? So
Yeah,
let's, if we are not able to, make out what Raj is saying, I can go ahead and present this lecture.
yeah, you can go ahead. I'll bring up the screen again. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see the screen, and
Yeah.
I have it
So
open at my end as well. So let me proceed.
right.
Okay, so we are going to discuss knowledge. See, there is a problem like in philosophy or with science when we discuss about scientific method or what is knowledge, scientific knowledge, or we have the right knowledge or the wrong knowledge. We have to specify like what exactly knowledge is. We have to understand what knowledge is and the criteria of knowledge. How do we arrive at knowledge? What are the properties or the characteristics of knowledge? And how is knowledge different from truth, if there is anything called as truth, or is there I mean what beliefs are knowledge, simply belief systems that we have. So these are certain things which is covered in this book, like how do we arrive at truth, how do we argue, how do we analyze, what are the different kind of methods and analysis that we do on finding out the truth statements. And like if you look at the history of human beings, like like uh, we had different forms of knowledge, right? Ancient man had different kind of knowledge, and as time progressed, we were able to figure out like certain of our knowledge were not the right kind of knowledge. We got it wrong at that point. Like for example, before the Copernicus revolution, we people used to believe that Earth is, you know, rotate revolve the sun is revolving around the Earth, whereas we know now that that is not the case. So this kind of things, how do we arrive at the right knowledge, what skepticism is, and how do we, what doubts are, and how do we doubt knowledge. So we will read this book and try to understand and gain an idea about what knowledge is. So epistemology basically deals with what to understand what knowledge is and what are the different types of knowledge. So we are also going to go through what are the different kind of knowledge. The first chapter in this book is related to the first chapter is some preliminaries where Duncan is uh, explaining like what knowledge is for the layman, right? So he begins with the he starts off by talking about types of knowledge, like what are the types of knowledge. So if you see like we have like two basic kind of knowledge. One is the proportional knowledge. Proportional knowledge, propositional knowledge is something which is like a theoretical knowledge which it's kind of a claim where we know like the earth is flat or earth is wrong, that bachelors are unmarried man, 2 plus 2 is 4. These are all propositional knowledge. Okay, this is one form of knowledge where it's theoretical. Okay, and there is something which is called as ability knowledge. Ability knowledge is know-how, like I know to cook, or I know mathematics, or I know physics, I know how to ride a bicycle, I know swimming. These are all ability knowledge which if individual it's more individualistic, where the individual is able to carry out certain tasks. He possesses knowledge on how to achieve his ends. So that's the second kind of knowledge. Now Duncan starts like with his his question is like when we talk about knowledge, they I mean ability knowledge and propositional knowledge, we are going to focus on more on propositional knowledge. Now when we ask a person that do you know how to ride a bike, I mean a bicycle, he would say yes, I know how to ride a bicycle, this is how I do it. Okay, so he will sit on that bicycle, he will pedal, and he will show you how to ride a bicycle. He might have the technical knowledge or the capability to even to show you how to, or teach you or train you how to ride a bicycle, but he can never explain how the bicycle actually manages to stay balanced on its two particular wheel, and what are the dynamics of it. So that kind of propositional knowledge is something that you know that person with the ability knowledge may not have. So these are certain differences between ability knowledge and propositional knowledge. So now he says that there are two requirements on knowledge. Every knowledge will have two things. One is the truth, and second one is belief. Okay. Whenever we begin with any kind of propositional knowledge, when we ability knowledge is pretty easy, like if you're able to do it or not able to do it, it's as simple as that. But when we come into propositional knowledge, you have a theory, and you have to believe in that theory, right? First thing is your belief, that you have to believe that such and such is the case for such and such phenomena, right? You have to explain. So like when we say like Paris is the capital of France, then I'm sorry. Just hold on a second.
Hey, Raj, are you disconnected?
Yep, sorry. I'm back. Yes, Raj is disconnected. He just messaged me, so I was chatting with him. I think he's back. Not sure. He's having some connection issues. So, anyways, we were discussing the second section,
Yeah,
like
that
what are the prerequisite of possessing knowledge. So first thing you require is a belief, right? So let's say I believe that Paris is the capital of France, then I must believe that this is the case and this belief is true, right? So if I say that Mumbai is the capital of Pakistan, if this is the belief and if we have to check if this belief is true or not, right? So we have to understand the false proposition, like which proposition is true and which proposition is false. Whenever we are doing an argumentation or we are considering propositional knowledge, we have to go by a belief, and that belief we need to uh, accept it as truth. Like we have to figure out like that. We have to have that belief should be true. In other words, okay. So when we say belief to be true, that means like if I say that this it's raining outside, I know it because I can see it. That's kind of a true belief, right? I believe it's raining in Switzerland. That's some kind of thing which may be true or may not be true, right? So when we are discussing with propositional knowledge, there has to be some the instance of that knowledge. It has to be a some form of true belief. So that's how we contrast belief with knowledge or true belief with knowledge, where we start with a belief. The person who is making that claim, he himself or that particular person should have some evidence or some justification for that belief to be true, or he himself in the beginning must believe that particular proposition or premise to be true. So that's something which belief and knowledge is something that that is the starting point of every argumentation and analysis. Do anyone has any questions so far?
yeah, I mean the thing about truth is like it's a big hole in the basically the definition that you say that knowledge is basically truth and belief, and if you are believing something to be truth, then how do you define knowledge? Like, how do you
See,
say that I know some fact when your belief in that fact and your belief that it is true are both basically beliefs?
right. Every in every argumentation, when we talk about knowledge consists of beliefs. Okay, everything consists of belief. We know that certain beliefs are true, certain beliefs are or certain beliefs to be true, and certain beliefs to be false. We arrive at certain points or certain things on those grounds. We justify. There is justification. There is method of justification. So we are going to look ahead. Like when we go ahead, we are going to understand like what different scenarios are, right? So that is going to answer your question on what beliefs and truth are. But to begin with, if you are making a claim or you are claiming something to be true, you yourself are the first person who has to believe in it, right? Like for example, if you say that person A is a murderer, I've seen him commit the crime, that's a true belief, or you believe it to be true because you have seen it or you have a reason to believe it, right? So that's the first starting point of premise. Like you, if you are making a claim, first thing is that you should have a complete belief in it. Like it might be anything which you are arguing on, right? So first thing, it begins with a claim. And every claim is a belief. It might be a belief, it might be a false belief or a true belief, right? When you say that this thing is impossible, that is something that you should believe first and foremost in that. So that's the scientific procedure. Like when we begin with a belief, and we believe that this is truth, and we go into verify if the truth or the falsehood of that belief. So that's how it starts.
Well, scientific method does not tell us what is true, only that what is basically false. I
Yes, we are
mean,
going
you
to,
can
yeah,
only
we are going
I
to
mean,
discuss that in the coming chapter. Okay, I think this will be covered in after argumentation, deductive
okay.
inductive logic and stuff, right? So
Okay, but my basically issue with the way taken is that the examples that the book gives, right, later on. So the idea is that basically, if you say you believe in something, doesn't mean that you have knowledge. That's what they're saying. But then I'm
exactly.
having difficulty trying to distinguish between what you believe something and what you believe something to be truth. So when you say that, if I blindly guess something Mumbai is the capital of Pakistan, so I I said that this is something that I believe.
Right.
Now this could be false, but then I could also blindly believe that Paris is the capital of France, and then even though I believe that uh, that fact, that propositional, but that is still not knowledge because it is, even though it is true, uh, it is, and I believe it is. I mean, I didn't get that portion also.
See,
Getting
when
the
we
point, right?
say, yeah, that's an example where we say that I've given you two examples of one which is we know by our knowledge, right? Like from our maps or by from the locals of or by visiting that place that if this is the case or not, right? So if I give you a belief like Paris is the capital of France, you can go down to Paris, you can look up to a map, and you can find there are various ways by which you can justify your belief, or you can say that your belief is true or false. Basically, if when we say whenever we say knowledge, knowledge will consist of two parts. One it will consist of two components. There will be belief part in it, and there will be a truth part in it. Belief part is what we are talking about, what we are discussing. When we are discussing Paris is the capital of France or Mumbai is the capital of Pakistan, these are two beliefs, right? There has to be a truth component in it, which will say that this is a true belief or this is a false belief, right? That's what knowledge is. So
Yeah, so while
getting
you can falsify the second one, that is true, but you can't falsify the first one, right? I mean, you can go right now and check, yeah, if you can visit Paris and confirm that you
yes,
are in France, but
yes.
then the next time you visit, every time you visit, you can't be sure that it will be still be the capital. So basically, what I'm trying to say, like, let's take a better example, the example of the horse race, right? So I know a particular horse
That's
is
later
going
in the
to.
book, right? Let's go to that part. Let's hold on to that question. I
Okay,
know where you're coming from. Okay, so let's hold it till that point. Okay.
okay,
So
okay, that's good.
basically, let's come to let's arrive at a conclusion over here that knowledge consists of two part. One part one is you should have a belief, and the second part is the truth of that belief. Like that belief is true or that belief is false, right? So every set of knowledge or whatever component of knowledge, these are the two things that you will have. Getting things right is something which is something which we are going to look into, right? Like if you get things right, like let's say you're gambling, right? And you say that the next roll of the dice would be one, and the dice rolls and the result is one, so you are getting it right. So does knowing means merely getting it right? So that's the next point. Like when we are making a claim that this particular thing is right, we cannot leave it to chance, right? It can be the case that you say, I know it, I believe that the dice is going to roll one for the next two times, and twice you roll the dice and the uh, result is one, right? So you say that you already knew it, you had knowledge of it. So can we say, like, can we make this kind of a claim on this type of scenarios? So knowledge is not merely getting things right, right? So that's another thing that we go for, go towards justifying our beliefs, that we have to check if we got certain result just because the thing turned out to be right on account of chance, right? So true beliefs is not mere getting things right. So true knowledge is not mere getting things right. You may believe something, it might happen accidentally, and you entirely by accident or by luck, and you would say, you would come to, you will firmly believe that your belief is true. So it might happen. So we cannot consider this kind of things as knowledge, where uh, on mere chance you verify certain things, and you say that you had the right or the true belief or the true knowledge. So like now, Sashank, we are coming to your part where you're talking about the horse race, right? Like
Yeah.
a Harry who puts a bet on a horse called as Lucky Lass, who will win the next race purely on basis, like he is making a speculation right now, right? And it turns out that Lucky Lass wins the next race. So Harry's belief now turns out to be true. Is this knowledge, simply because the belief turned out to be true. Now this is a matter of luck, right? Now let's compare it with another
You can
incidents
say
where
it's a matter of luck, but suppose, I mean, like you say, I mean, that he has like blindly picked up a horse number and said that he has it's a matter of luck that he got right. But then what if he has particular intuition about this intuition about racing, and he has been seeing racing for like the past 30 years, and he has gained a knack for predicting the result. So now if when he says that Lucky Lass is going to win the next race, and that is again, if he turns out to be right, it's again a matter of luck.
right,
When you say, I mean, it's not like, I mean, even in the example where he says that he has true knowledge when if he knows that some mafia has in fact fixed the race, and then he comes to know about it, now he can say with sure with with knowledge that like he's going to win the race. But again, if knowledge is truth plus belief, what if he doesn't win the race? Then? Was his knowledge, was that not knowledge?
see, it wasn't knowledge, right? Like before the phenomena, if you're predicting something, you need to have some kind of grounding, right?
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
no.
this
So
is what
that's what I'm saying. Suppose in the example, right? So I'll take you to the example. He said that suppose, however, Harry's belief turns out to be true, is that lucky is this knowledge intuitively not, since it's just a matter of luck. So far, so good, right? But imagine that Harry, who forms a true belief that Lucky Last will win the race simply because he likes the name. Right? Yeah.
yeah,
Contrast Harry with someone who genuinely knows that the race will be won by Lucky Lass. Perhaps, for example, this person is a Mr. Big, a gangster who has fixed the race by drugging other animals so
right.
that his horse, Lucky Lass, will win. He knows that the race will be won by Lucky Lass because the way he has formed this belief, by basing it on special grounds that he has for thinking that Lucky Lass cannot lose. But then, suppose in that reality, suppose Lucky Lass does not win, and some other horse wins. That Lucky Lass breaks his leg, sprains his ankle, or something happens that he slows down even slower than the drugged horses. Suppose these things happen, and then Lucky Lass doesn't win, the other horses win. Now, what are you going to look at the back, and would you say that that person possessed knowledge or not?
When we say about knowledge, right, this is something which we are going to look into the part two of this book, where we are going to talk about inference, where you have another adjoining fact along with it, right? When we provide justifications, I'm just jumping the gun over here. Uh, if if you have a justification, right, you have to infer, like we have to create an argument from A equals B, that let that be the first premise, B equals to C, then I can say A equals to C, right? That's an inference. So here you can see that Mr. Big, when he when he, he had that knowledge, he had the second premise, which says, or which is that the other horses participating in the race were drugged, so that they cannot run or they will get tired in between, and that is the reason that Lucky Lass could win. Like, you have set up the race, right?
No, I know, but they didn't say that he could win. He said his knowledge is he knows that he will win.
Yes,
That is
exactly.
his
He knows
knowledge.
that.
He did not
Yes,
say that there is a high chance or there's a high probability that
that's the
that
belief part, right? Like, that's the belief part. When you stand on ex ante exposed, if you have to justify this, how would you justify this particular winning of Lucky Lass? You can only justify it from the fact, like, from by presenting different facts, right? Different true beliefs or different true facts. First part is your belief. You believe that by drugging the other horses, Lucky Lass won. So that's your first belief, and you justify that belief by providing certain reasoning, right? So more justification and reasoning will come into the picture, and you will draw an inference from those premises, and you arrive at a conclusion, right? Now we will look ahead, where we are going into infinite regressions and stuff, where we are going to look like, what we need for justification and stuff, right? So let's proceed step by step instead of jumping off other sections of
no,
the book.
it's not jumping off, right? I mean, I got the inference thing is fine, but that doesn't answer this question. It's not a question of. So if the book example says that he has knowledge that Lucky Lass is going to win, but
Mm-hmm.
then knowledge is truth plus belief, right? So he believes Lucky Lass is going to win, but
Yes.
then
This is we are still not at the knowledge part, we are still at the belief part, right? You believe something to be true. How do you
yeah.
is that knowledge?
So
So it's
yeah, so
it's
how
not.
the only way this belief is different from the belief of the belief of Harry is that Harry also believes it to be true, and Lucky also believes to be true, but the output of the probability of one of them being right is that Mr. Big knows has a higher probability of being right, and then Lucky Lass has a lower probability of being right. Right. If you do the same experiments multiple times,
Again,
we find
again,
that
again, again, probability is something which is a belief, right?
it's not about probability. Like it's again, this book talks about probability, right? I'm not the one who brought it in. He says the book talks about the arrow example. He said
Uh-huh.
that a beginner could try a
Yeah.
first time and then hit the target, but that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean he knows how to actually hit the target. It's just that he was able to hit it the first time. But a professional could go and hit the target accurately. That is fine and good, but it's also possible that the professional misses sometimes. So what I'm trying to say is that there's a matter of degree here, that the degree to which someone is could be right, not that the person A knows and B does not. That is what I'm trying to say. That
Mm-hmm.
saying that that Harry does not know who's going to win, he's only merely getting it right, and that Mr. Big knows and is something that I find that does not fit the definition that the book started with, saying that something is truth and they believe in it.
Yeah, I mean, this is something, but this is something which I agree. I will agree on on this basis, because from ex ante you don't have the knowledge of an exposed position, right?
Yeah, you
Certain
don't have the knowledge of it. That's true.
Yes.
But truth is
Truth is
objective, right?
something where you have a theory, right? If you have a theory of a particular thing where you arrive at some kind of knowledge where you know that this is going to work, or some kind of certainty, like this is going to happen. This is not something left on probability. It's not a phenomena which is random, or it's dependent on probability. So you have to come up with other facts and justification of that truth, right? So there is a section later on in this book which talks about what and how to justify, right? So let's proceed step by step. Here it is like, we are distinguishing between, in this section we are distinguishing between chance and having some kind of facts which rationalize or justifies that particular belief. So it's not that you have gained knowledge right away, but there is some kind of, there are two kind of different knowledge, right? If you ask Harry, like, how do you know that Lucky Lass was going to win? So what is the answer that Harry is going to give? That's the difference
E-
between.
Yeah, so again,
Yeah,
Harry is
exactly.
going to
So
say,
let me. So
that
you're going to.
okay,
Yep.
complete. Sorry, man.
I'm sorry. See, you're going to get two different answers, right? If you're getting two different answers, that means that two people have two different beliefs and two different kind of justification and whatever, true facts that support their belief, right? Here you will find that only Mr. Big has certain, valid or some other premises which or true premises or something, some premises which he can justify to justify his conclusion that Lucky Lass is going to win this race, right? Whereas if you ask Harry has no such justification. He's merely doing it on chance, right? So this is one thing, one difference I can say. And the other thing which the book says that you have to try out if a person is skilled or he has the knowledge, he will get it right most of the time, or more than the person who doesn't have knowledge, right? That is something which will go into like instrumental knowledge, right? On those examples we will see like why.
Okay, okay. Let me first try to rebut that. The difference
Sure.
between the two, right?
Sure.
So at the start we talked about ability knowledge and propositional knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it could be possible that Mr. Harry has the ability knowledge to actually look at the horses and predict which horse is going to win. Probably mentally inside his mind, his mind has the ability to look at the horse and gauge their physical strength and their what they maybe in his mind he can gauge that this particular horse is probably going to get sprain in his ankle and so on and so forth. And maybe the mind does all of those things and abstracts it out so that he doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, like, he doesn't have the propositional knowledge to explain actually how he
Mm-hmm.
knows this particular horse is going to win, but he has
Yes.
the ability to predict it, right? That can happen.
Excuse me, let me
Okay,
let me hold you let me let hold on to that. He has, if when you say he has the ability, ability knowledge, right? So ability knowledge is something which you have skill, you can demonstrate it, right? So what kind of skill does Mr. Harry has over here when he is simply
he's
speculating?
predicting, right? He's a good predictor. I mean, that's what he is. So suppose Mr. Harry,
Good
he
point.
looks at the horse and has the ability to,
Valid point.
he taken so he has the ability to predict which horse is going to win. And maybe inside his mind he does some calculations. He looks at various factors, and his mind is probably really fast, and his perception is really good. But he doesn't have the propositional knowledge to actually explain what he's doing. He
Or
can't
maybe
propose
the
to say
fact
that he
is
does
like
this,
he is a
and
person who can do the things, and but he doesn't have, like, he has the ability knowledge but he doesn't have the propositional knowledge to explain, right? That's the point we are
yeah,
coming to.
yeah. So no, but that's not the point. Point is, like, suppose that is the case, and in that case, he predicts that Lucky Lass is not going to win, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
he can in his mind he sees that Lucky Lass will probably get a sprain. He can't explain what is going to happen because he doesn't know that, but his mind like judges the horse and figures out that this horse has a high probability of spraining himself, and like this horse has been through a lot, and that he's
Mm-hmm.
probably spraining himself, right? So in looking at all of those, he says that Lucky Lass is not going to win. Mr.
Right,
Big on
but
the
but
other
but
hand,
but then there is some other facts and justifications going on in his mind, right? Like when, let's say you are comparing hare and the tortoise
no, no, no. What
story,
I'm
right?
saying that I didn't complete. I'm saying that he also looks at the other horses and he sees them drugged, that they are
Mm-hmm.
not responding, their eyelids are drooping. Suppose his mind does all of that calculation and he still concludes that Lucky Das is going to win.
See,
No, is not going to win,
let me put it
right?
put it this way, right? Like, let's say there are two mechanical horses, and I know one of the horse has got 5 HP engine and another horse has got a 2 HP engine. But from the outside physical properties, you don't have any kind of knowledge to make that distinction, right? Like on physical properties. Now, when you're talking about a judgment based on physical properties, like a horse, if he's tired or drugged, or maybe a stronger looking horse, uh, you don't know. You can make a speculation. For example,
Yes,
let's say.
that's what I'm saying. See,
Yes.
speculation is there, right? So
See
if
then.
I know some mafia has drugged the horse, I'm also speculating. I don't know what I'm refuting is that I do not have the knowledge that Lucky Lass is going to win.
Exactly,
I am
but
only speculating. Same thing that Harry is doing. I don't I can't seem to be able to draw the line between Harry and the person who knows that the gangster has fixed race, and the reason for that is that
in this
Harry's
case,
speculative
yeah, in this,
ability
I'm sorry,
might
go
be
ahead.
better than Harry's speculative ability might be better than the gangster's ability to fix a race. And quite frankly, it ultimately comes down to me whose speculation I trust more. And of course, I mean, being a scientific person, I can say that yeah, if I know that someone has drugged the horse, I'm going to trust that person more than I would trust, the random predictor who is wrong 50% of the time. But then it ultimately comes down to convincing me who is a better speculator. The person who is predicting that Lucky Lass will win the race because of the horses are drugged, or the other person who may have the ability to judge it just because he can't explain it to me. And if I am an investor in the gambling, and if I invest based on Harry's uh, intuition, because I because I see him having the ability knowledge to predict races. You can't say I did not I like invested blindly. I mean, it's not that I just invested on belief. It is that I invested on belief. The knowledge.
What you're saying is, how will you distinguish a great speculator from a person with knowledge, right? If I
Yeah, I can't seem to be doing that here with this
so,
example. I'm sure
like,
you can, but this example is poorly made if
I
you
think
think
yes, I agree, but then that's something which we will discuss ahead, where how we can distinguish a great gambler from someone who is
no, of
someone who
course,
is
there
not,
some
right?
gamblers are better than others.
See,
There's no doubt
some
about
are
it.
very good speculators than others, right? We know,
Yes,
right?
there's no doubt about it. I am not saying that we do not distinguish between good gamblers and bad gamblers. Certainly there is, but what I'm saying is that when you're categorizing based on the definition of knowledge you've given above, you can't say that a great gambler has knowledge and the poor gambler does not. That is what
See,
I'm trying to say.
when you talk about knowledge, it will begin with belief, right? When a great gambler, even I will just keep
See,
it short.
both great, yeah.
A great gambler has some different kind of information in his mind, right? He forms those kind of speculation based on something. Maybe is aware on how maybe who is the player, how he plays, strategies, game theory. There are so many things. It's not it,
All
it may not be
things
that, yeah.
helping him speculate, right?
So it's
Ultimately, the
always a
end of the day
speculation.
is that he has better tools for
Exactly.
speculation
Yeah.
than a poor.
Yes,
But
yes,
then
it
both
is.
at the end of the
But
day,
then
both of them are
but then the
gamblers.
tools
None of
that he
them
is using.
know the result of the gamble.
Yeah, but then the tools that he's using different facts and figures to increase his accuracy of his speculation, right? It cannot
Yeah.
be.
So
It cannot
see,
be. See, for example, let's say I want to boil water, right? Is it left on uncertainty? It's not going to boil under ceteris paribus conditions, of course.
that's not how I'm saying. That is even a bigger question, and that involves radical skepticism. But in all probability, it will boil. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think there's ever going to be a case
See,
where
here
it
in
won't
this
boil.
example, I know this example is not when we are talking about how do I distinguish Larry's win from a great gambler and other. Maybe this great gambler just got it right. Maybe it's on chance, and the other person. Let's look at it in another way, right? Suppose every day Larry keeps on winning because other this person every day he bets on Larry less, the horse, and he ensures that all the other horses are drugged. Every day he does the same thing. Every day this both person bet on this particular horse and win. So this is something which is no longer random, right? This randomness has gone away from this particular scenario in this particular situation. So there is no scope of speculation, or the speculative element is removed from this kind of example, right?
No, it's no. That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, a speculative element is never removed because knowing something before it has happened is impossible. Is what I'm trying to say.
It
In
is
this
it
example,
is impossible. Yeah.
this example seems to be insinuating that the let's call them Mr. Harry and Mr. Big. That Mr. Big, actually the gangster, knows that Lass is not going to, that Lucky Lass is going to win the
But
race.
he's basing his beliefs on some justification, right? So
Yeah,
that's
he's
the case.
basing his belief on just some justification. That is true.
In
So
contrast to
he
another
has
person who
his
is,
tools. Yeah, so he has his tools to make speculation, and Harry has
so
his
he
tools to make
has
speculation.
some kind of factual knowledge, right? Like for example, drugs to this kind of behavior on horses. If this particular chemical is injected to the bloodstream of horses, this things to this kind of,
Yeah, well, yeah,
it
but
makes
drugs
a
are
lot
not
to be given.
100% like effective. I mean,
That's
sometimes drugs are not effective. That is also true.
true, right? So that's
And Harry could have Harry could have, and Harry on the other hand has the ability to look at the horse and judge how drugged he
yes,
is,
but then Harry
how
doesn't have any other justification. He doesn't have any other
yeah, but
knowledge,
then
right?
but
He's
then Harry
simply
is going to end up being a better gambler than
he's a
Mr.
very
Big.
lucky person, right? He is a very lucky person.
Not
He
lucky. No, 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 you didn't get me. So when I said Harry, suppose by looking at the horse, he has the ability knowledge to predict which horse is going to win. He can't explain it. Probably, maybe his mind does some calculation based on like the health of the horse, how much the horse is attentive. I mean, he can judge whether how much the horse is drugged, and so on and so forth. And his
all this
mind does maybe the.
all this
uh,
this is something where we will come into the presupposition, right? When you're presupposing knowledge, right? When we are talking about presupposition, you're presupposing that this person already has a knowledge, right? He has gained that knowledge without observing horses. How can somebody come into this arrive at this kind of conclusion? For example, let's compare a cheetah and a horse, right? The cheetah is smaller, he doesn't look much he doesn't have that much muscles as a horse. A person who doesn't have any idea, like he lacks the knowledge like what a cheetah is, how fast it runs, and what kind of an animal it is. Let's say I show you two kind of snakes which you have no idea about which snake is the fastest running snake. What will two people do?
Yeah, no, that was not my point. I mean, like, I'm saying that Harry has the ability knowledge to do it. I mean, of course, he can't explain it, but he can look at the horses and with good intuition, he can say which one is going to win. Right?
Yeah,
He can look at the
then
health and
in this
and
case both are speculating,
I,
right?
yeah, both are speculating. So I am constructing a scenario in which Harry is a better gambler than Mr. Big, even though Harry uses intuition, which the author chalks up to blind luck, and Mr. Big uses knowledge about, he controls who he drugs, and Harry is going to probably look at the drugging by Mr. Big is probably already taken into account by Harry when he looks at the horse. But when someone is going to sprain his ankle, Harry is going to be able to be a better predictor. So what I'm saying is that both people at the end of the day are gambles, right? You can't say that one of them knows and the other of them doesn't have. One of them has knowledge and the other one does not. That is what I'm.
Okay, I take it. Okay, I take this argument like certain things cannot be predicted, as you said. That's true. So let's proceed, and we will come back to this discussion later on. Like this is going to come
Yeah,
back again and again for sure.
yeah, yeah, sure.
Yep. So, brief remark on truth. In the end of this chapter, he's commenting that you cannot find objective
I
truth
think
or become
this line
prop.
is something that I can agree with, the one I highlighted. The challenge for epistemologists is thus to explain what needs to be added to mere true belief in order to
Exactly.
get knowledge. But I don't think like it's been done successfully till now. I don't think I've read a epistemological theory
Yes. And
that says,
if you have read the preface, it says that by the end of the book, you will say that you cannot have complete or proper knowledge, right? So we are debating the wrong thing.
yeah,
Anyways,
probably.
yeah. So here are some study questions. We can look into some of the study questions like which you yourself.
Let me scroll.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, you see.
Just a second, I'm not looking at the screen. Are you sharing something?
Yeah, yeah, so sharing the PDF. Do you not see it? I scrolled to study questions.
Yeah, okay. So study questions, like this is something that you can practice later on, or if you have any questions like from the study questions, you can ask us. We will discuss those questions on our WhatsApp group or maybe on our Facebook group, right? Uh, so let's proceed to the second chapter. The first chapter is just some prerequisite, and we already had a very big debate on it. So let's go to the second chapter. Second chapter is the value of knowledge, right? Why care about knowledge? So basically, this is also a very short chapter. One of the questions, like why do we value knowledge, right? Why do we send our kids to school? Why do we read books? Why are we attending this podcast? What is the value of knowledge? So uh, this is something which is very subjective as well, like it depends on individual to individual, the relevance of knowledge, what kind of knowledge he is seeking. uh, one thing is that the instrumental value of true belief, like when you have a true belief, you are more likely to get success. Right now, again, this is we get uh, into the randomness or the uncertainty or whatever you call it of the future, where you are going to believe in something, and if that is a true belief, it's more likely to succeed than having a false belief. For example, if you you have a goal which you want to achieve, so will you go with with something which you believe to be true, or something which you believe to be false, or something you have no clue about? So definitely you're going to go with some kind of knowledge which is is of instrumental value, or something which you know is more likely to work. So you're going to go with those kind of beliefs. Like for example, uh, if you have been given a choice between choosing a wrong map and a correct one, right? Like if you want to, you're visiting a new town, let's say you're visiting Kolkata, and there are two maps. I offer you two maps. One is a correct map, and another one is an incorrect map. Or let's say I'm going to offer you two maps. One map is of Kolkata 1860, and one is Kolkata's map of 2015. So which map are you going to go for? Definitely it's the latest map or the latest information which you are going to seek, and you are going to go for the latest map. The reason you are going to go for the latest map or the latest information, or because it's more accurate, it has more true beliefs or something, true claims, true facts, more truth in it than the old map which is outdated and will not be useful. In contrast, if I give you an incorrect map, let's say I'm a prankster and I want to give you an old map, a fake map, and somehow you believe that map to be true. So, but still you don't have that true belief, and that map is useless. Suppose you come to know, like you're walking through the street and the map says that there is an ATM besides a church, right? So when you find that ATM, but you don't seem to find that church anywhere. There is no church around that ATM. So you will start doubting the information on that map, right? So if you will start questioning your belief, so that's where your true belief breaks. So if you want to find out something like the nearest restaurant or the hotel or something, a accurate, up to date, informative, with correct information map is going to help you lot more than something which is inaccurate, outdated, or completely fake and misleading, right? So true beliefs and false beliefs are like that. Like we value knowledge because in the scenarios when we do not know something, if we have the right belief or the knowledge which is more likely going to work, we are going to use that knowledge, and we are going to find answers for that. I'm sorry, we are going to reach our goals more often than not. Then there might be some knowledge, for example, I can say, which is pretty much irrelevant to you, right? It doesn't serve any kind of usefulness or instrumental value to you. but nonetheless it's knowledge. Let's say I've got a black color cell phone on my desk, or I have there are three strawberries on my plate. These are irrelevant knowledge. It's not going to serve you any kind of purpose, right? It's irrelevant to you, maybe relevant to me, right? If I want to find out where my strawberries are, or if somebody is looking for where I've kept or asked me where I've kept the strawberries, or how many strawberries I have, then that the information that I have, or the knowledge that I have is is going to help that person. But to you all, it's nonsense. It is not. It doesn't serve any instrumental value. It doesn't help you in any way. So that's something which is described in the second chapter, value of knowledge, and why we why we value knowledge, and how it is useful in our lives. And then there is also another thing that's called as the stability of knowledge, stable and instability. Like if you have a false belief, the false belief evaporates pretty quickly, right? For example, if you have a, let's compare this example where I gave you a fake map. I gave you a map which was correct, and an outdated map, right? The outdated map is still a piece of information, and there are a lot of places which wouldn't have changed drastically. So you will see that knowledge, most of the knowledge remains constant over a very for a longer period of time. But if I've given you an incorrect map, and when you notice that there was no church and you started doubting that map, suddenly your belief is broken, and it became completely unstable, right? So if you are following an old map, you're going to still find the most of the landmarks over there, but certain landmarks would be missing. But that map still, it won't be misleading, right? Not to that extent. Like it might say that certain bank was there. If you inquire, it will say that okay, there used to be a bank, but you will understand that you are using an outdated map, right? So that's another thing about knowledge, that knowledge remains stable, or knowledge is more stable. True beliefs and simply beliefs are not that stable. They are pretty unstable, and they tend to be broken at the first refutation, or first skepticism which refutes that particular belief. So that's the difference between, that's what in the second chapter. What else do we have?
So I really actually like this chapter because ultimately it brings focus to the self, because end goal of acquiring knowledge is of course the self and how much that knowledge helps you. That is why humans try to gain knowledge. But then it asks a very good question, and it says that if true beliefs, like beliefs that are more likely to be true, if true beliefs actually helps us in our goals and tasks, then it only then this answer, why should we care about knowledge, only answers that why should we care about true beliefs and not knowledge.
See, when we talk about knowledge, we do not know what knowledge is, right? To begin with, we
Yeah,
do not have a
I know,
complete criteria of
but
knowledge.
then it
So
questions that somewhere.
yeah.
We cannot straightforwardly argue from the instrumental value of true belief that all knowledge must therefore be instrumentally valuable. That said, we can
See,
perhaps
that's
say,
different, right? Where I can say that I can give you some information which is non-instrumental of non-instrumental value to you, like what's on my desk, what is
okay,
the color of my cell
sorry,
phone,
I'm
right?
on
So
the, yeah, no, I got that point, but what, no, yeah, I got that point. Something else that I wanted to point out.
wisdom part is some knowledge intrinsically valuable. Like if I say do not steal, that's kind of a knowledge, right? Do not steal. It's going to harm you in the long term.
No,
Or
no, not that. Yeah, I get that point. That's not something else.
yeah, like
Uh,
go ahead if you
mm, yeah, just give me a minute.
sure.
So it says that actually somewhere, I don't know where that portion went. So basically, what the book asks a question that the reason why we want true knowledge, we want knowledge is because knowledge helps us in our goals, right? And if
Right.
we have false beliefs, false beliefs are going to actually harm us in actually reaching our goals. But this line of reasoning only proves that true beliefs should be valued over false beliefs, and that is
Hmm.
true. But that does not actually say that knowledge should be valued over, or basically knowledge should be valued, because knowledge is
Yeah,
different
yeah,
from
yeah.
true
It
beliefs.
doesn't say that knowledge should be valued. It's just that true belief should be valued over something which
Yeah,
people
so
simply believe,
so
right?
that brings me again to the original point that if Harry has had a better track record than Mr. Big has had a track record of drugging horses, then as a betting man, I would rather bet on Harry than on than on the person who says that I have drugged all the horses. Believe in me. Getting my point, right?
See, let's put it another way. If I can think of something, let me see. Let's say I have this horse. Let's say I have a donkey, and I have he's racing with five different horses. So there is a donkey and five different horses. Now we all have this knowledge, right? We have all this. We all of us have this propositional knowledge that the horses run faster than donkeys, right? And donkeys are difficult to train, so if you ask him to run, he may run or may not run. So there is a speculative thing as well. Now, if I chop off the legs of all the horses
Oh man.
before the race, right? Will the donkey win?
Okay. We don't even know if the donkey will run till the end. So
See,
yeah, we don't actually know,
you
right?
don't know it's if it is going to run or not, right? That is what with donkeys, right? You can beat the shit out of him, he's not going to move an inch. So what is going on? Is it chance or is it knowledge? You already have the knowledge that donkeys are going to behave in this way. This is I cannot say that this is it's a random factor, right? I cannot say that this is chance. But then
Yeah,
how do we justify this kind of a situation? The horses cannot run. It's out of the questions. They don't have legs, so they cannot run.
I'm not saying they don't speculate. I'm saying speculations can be valuable. Knowledge, on the other hand, cannot be obtained in this. You can't truly know which horse is going to win or which whether the donkey is going to win or not. Is
See,
what my
but
point
on
was.
what basis are you making this assumption? See, it's for certain that the horses cannot run because they don't have any legs, right? So there is
See,
no.
this is
It's out, right? You
yeah.
have
No,
that
as you're saying,
evidence.
no, but the donkey. No, I know the horses cannot move. I'm talking about the donkey. I'm saying the
Yeah.
donkey.
So now donkey is if the donkey is going to run or not. If he runs, he wins the race. If he doesn't run, then he
He doesn't
loses,
win the
right?
race. Yeah,
So
I mean, no one wins the race, but yeah. But see, my point was not that speculation is useless. My point was that ultimately
see
both of them are
this you
speculative.
have the
It's not
knowledge
that
that
one.
you have the knowledge that you cannot you don't have see knowledge also has multiple outputs, right? When we are talking about this donkey, either the donkey is going to run or he is not going to run. So there is a speculation. Either the drug is going to work or not going to work. That's speculation, right? But we have the knowledge that this is going to go either way. Or yes, no, maybe can be three outputs, right? So what's now if I question like what's this maybe position? Yes, no, and maybe. What's this maybe? Either why he's not yes or why he's not no, or those kind of questions. It's very difficult. We cannot answer those kind of questions straightforward. But in this case, we do have the knowledge. Even the gambler and the speculator has the knowledge that donkeys behave in this way. So nobody is leaving it on chance, right? Let's change the scenario. If it is a donkey, if there were no horses, but it was only a race of donkeys, and donkeys still behave the same way. You have the knowledge, right? Now let's say I chop off the legs of four other donkeys. Now still you're left with speculation, but only the fact or the justification that you can give is that donkeys behave in this way. So I think that is the knowledge that you're going to use. That is the knowledge you're going to differentiate between that person who doesn't know about how donkeys behave. We have this propositional knowledge, so I think that's a distinction, or that would distinguish between chance and knowledge, I think. I mean, not knowledge but true belief. I mean, when I say knowledge, what we are mostly we substitute true beliefs for knowledge, right? Or something that we believe to be true as knowledge, right?
No,
Like,
but this book is the one that actually differentiated between true beliefs and knowledge, right? So we can't just simply start conflating the two as we move on. This book spent
Yes.
like an entire first section on saying that true beliefs are basically might just
See,
be
I
a
mean,
matter of luck or chance, whereas knowledge is like not luck
yeah,
or chance, it has a
it
higher stability,
yeah,
right?
I
But
mean,
I'm saying that you can't actually give a sort of blindly. You can't
I
say that.
I do agree on that. Anyway, I will think of some other
Yeah,
examples, and I'm going to think of it. It's not
yeah,
a very easy question for me to answer. Like two kinds of speculation, right? Like who is the good speculator and why a good speculator gets it right for most of the time. It's a very difficult question to answer. So
I'm
yeah,
not saying one is not the better speculator of the other. I'm not saying these are they are equally good speculator or that we can't actually say because that's also a part of we can't saying that we can't say who's a better speculator. But all I'm saying is that at the end of the day, both of them were speculators. It is not that one of them had knowledge and the other didn't.
yep, yep. Anyway, where am I? Where is my book? Where is my book? Here it is. So that's the second chapter, right? In the second chapter, he also distinguishes something called as wisdom. Wisdom is something which is like friends are valuable, or you should not steal. Everyone dies at the end. Such is life. These are all wise knowledge, wisdom, right? Uh, don't have high expectation. This is wisdom, right? They do not have any direct instrumental value, like, but they have some kind of an intrinsic value in them. Direct, like, we cannot say that this knowledge is completely useless, and we cannot say that this knowledge is completely useful. It might be useful, it may not be useful, but this knowledge definitely is something which has value in it. So that's knowledge with intrinsic value, right?
So, no, wait, why does
That's
he say that this is not useful to me, knowing that
He says
I
this.
would actually.
See, he tries to make a difference between truths and wisdom, right? Like words of wisdom, what we say are very good, or motivational quotes, right? Those are another piece of knowledge. Like, don't be
Yeah,
careless, right? This
yeah,
is
but then
something
they
in
are this knowledge actually useful to me. I mean,
this has
suppose
intrinsic value, right? Don't be careless is something which has an intrinsic value, and if you contrast it with propositional knowledge, that people will be careless, right? No matter what, there will be something which all human to err is to human. That's two different, contrasting uh, quotes, or wise quotes, but both are true and both have intrinsic value. But they are not something which you can relate to it like
uh,
a instrumental
I
value,
don't.
like that of a map or something.
Again, I disagree with the order. I don't think there's intrinsical value. The saying that you should value your friends is a wisdom that is valuable to me because for the success of my success in society is augmented by the fact that I have friends. So at the end of the day, it's still like value what is valuable to me, not the say the wisdom that you should have friends is again not something that has intrinsic value. It is like again it's the value of what
See,
it is of value to
instrumental.
me.
See, he's differentiating this with instrumental value. Instrumental value is something which is important to you or relevant to you, by which, like, for example, if you are in France and I give you a map of Mumbai, right? Still, it's a true knowledge, but it's not of any instrumental value to you. But even if you are in France or Mumbai, I say if you have friends, things would be easier for you, or if you have local friends over there, it might
No,
be easier for you,
that
right?
part I agree with. I was questioning the intrinsic value part of it.
That's a tough one. You are asking in
No,
Austrian.
and especially whether when we come from the Austrian background, we say there is no such thing as intrinsic value, don't we?
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're knowledge, if we are placing value,
The
then
intrinsic value, what I understand from this point, where from an epistemologist point, intrinsic value is something which I will term as inherent in that particular sentence or that particular premise. So that's true, right? When we say that this statement is false, and that's something which has some meaning or some value, right? The meaning or the essence of that particular, we say essence, right? That essence is in that particular object itself, in that particular statement itself. So that's an intrinsic value. As an Austrian, when we say something has intrinsic value, that is the inherent properties of that particular object, right? For us, valuation is subjective, is like every mind is going to have a different value judgment, like what the price should be, or do I need it, is this useful or not. You know, it's subjectivism. From the subjectivism's point of view, instrumental knowledge, the thing that we say as instrumental knowledge is not an inherent property of that map, right? There is an intrinsic value, right? If I say that the map of France and map of Mumbai both has intrinsic knowledge in them, that is a true statement. This statement is true by the essence. It's true. But if somebody is in Mumbai and I gave him a map of France, he doesn't have any instrumental value, and that is subjective, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
he is a person in Mumbai. He wants to study the map of France. He wants to communicate something with his friends, like or he wants to tell his he's a dad looking for a map so that his son wants to go to France, and he wants to give him some information, right?
Yeah,
So
so it has value for him. My question, my
exactly. So
not
that's subjectivism, right? Like
yeah, that's subjective. I was saying the ultimately knowledge is something that is useful to the individual. But you can't say something has intrinsic value. That this particular knowledge is intrinsically valuable, as if I mean.
No, we are confusing the two values. One is instrumental value is something where it has some use to you, right? It helps you to reach your goal, right? This kind words of wisdom is not going to help you to reach your goals, or it may or may not, right? But by the essence is embedded in that statement, right? So that's an intrinsic value. Like when I say that the knowledge of France or the map of France has knowledge about France, some knowledge about France, that's intrinsic in that map, right? In that map itself. That's an is it does it have any instrumental value to me? That's subjective. So it doesn't. I that knowledge is not intrinsic in that map.
Okay, it's yes.
Okay, I just think the author is wrong about this intrinsic value thing. He doesn't have to be right about everything.
I agree, but intrinsic is something where in philosophy, when we say that it's in the essence of that particular subject, right? Like for examples, why salt? If I say salt, sodium, NaCl, sodium chloride is salt. Salt is it tastes a bit it tastes salty, right? So that's an intrinsic property of salt, right? How much should be the value? How much should be the price of salt? That's subjective. Do you want to use salt? That's subjective. So I think knowledge goes in both ways. If I say salt is salty, that's an intrinsic value. Is salt useful to you?
I uh,
That's
coming from saying that something is valuable, I think is an incomplete statement. Saying that A is valuable is an incomplete statement for me because when we are saying something is valuable, we need to talk about valuable for whom, because ultimately well, when something is of value, when something is of some particular utility, it has to be of utility towards some particular goal. So saying that something has value, intrinsic value, is a contradictory statement. Wouldn't you agree?
how will you define properties?
No, no, you can define property. You can say that
Are
salt has some certain
properties are
properties.
not values? I mean,
No, no,
as per
right? I
grammar.
mean, see, you can say that this particular object has so and so properties. You can say the salt has so and so properties, and
See, I mean,
diamond has so and
when
so
we are doing
properties.
chemistry, right? When
No,
we
we
are
can say properties, but properties are not values. You can say that
properties
diamond
have
is the
value,
strong.
right? Is salty equals true or false is a value.
No, you're talking about when you're talking about value of knowledge, you're saying is knowledge intrinsically valuable? You're talking about
See,
value.
knowledge itself, knowledge, no. That's not something which has value, right? It
Yeah, so
instrumental
but
value,
the
yeah.
author writes, put another way, some kinds of knowledge seem to have
Yeah,
intrinsic
if
value.
that is the interpretation, then yeah, absolutely, I agree with you that the knowledge by itself cannot have value, right? It needs to have instrumental value. Anyway, so let's
Anyway,
move
let's
ahead.
move on. Yeah.
So that's done. We Last part. Again,
No,
you can
this
read the
was
questions.
yeah,
Third, defining knowledge, right?
yeah. I've not read this part, so like just
You want to continue this part, or do you want to read and then shall we continue?
no, no, no. You guys continue. Like this was like I only started reading at like around 7, so I could only get through the first two.
Okay. Now, what is the definition of knowledge, right? This is where it all begins. Where the definition is knowledge. The problem is that who wishes to say what knowledge is faces an immediate problem, which is how to begin. Now, it might seem that the answer here is obvious in that one should simply start by looking at the cases in which one has knowledge and considering what is common to each case. So, for example, one might think of such paradigm cases of knowledge accusation as the scientist who, upon conducting her experiment, correctly determines the chemical structure of the substance before her, or the star witness in the murder trial knows that the defendant is guilty of murder because she saw him do it in clear daylight. The thought is that one needs to is determine what is common to each of these paradigm cases. One will have to well on one ways to discern what knowledge is, right? I mean, I had a problem by his definition or his explanation in this part. The thing is, now when we try to define knowledge, the thing is that can we define knowledge without looking or giving an example of any instance, or what consists of what is knowledge. Like if you're looking at something like if you want to separate beliefs from truth from true beliefs, or let's say true belief from knowledge, or you know facts or something, how do we differentiate? We will require definitions, right? So we will require definitions like what piece of information meets as knowledge, or what piece of the same thing that you were debating. So there is no criteria. Like first and foremost, we don't have a criteria or a definition of what knowledge is, and we do not go out and apply this definition and check like which falls into which category, right? What kind of things or what kind of situation falls, or what kind of knowledge falls in what kind of categories. We don't, or I mean, by checking this definition we cannot make out like this is knowledge or this is not knowledge. So we don't have that kind of a definition. What we do is like we look into particular cases, particular instances, and we say, yeah, this part is knowledge and this part is rubbish, right? So we make this kind of distinction. So the problem is like how do we know like what is rubbish and what is useful or what is knowledge, or is it meaningful, right? Like for example, you may have a friend who is you might have considered somebody as a friend, but he turned out to be a foe, right? And there is a word of wisdom like friends are useful in life. How do we know that one is knowledge and the other one is something which is rubbish? So those kind of distinction, if we want to make, we need a definition. We need a proper definition to justify like what knowledge is and what knowledge is not. In this case, both I for me, I will define that both the pieces are knowledge, right? Even uh, rubbish is something where it's totally incoherent. So I don't know. I cannot think of an example right now, but I think I can give it later on. But the point is that basically, without referring to an instance of knowledge, I cannot have a definition for knowledge or the criteria. What parts are to be taken as knowledge, and what parts has to be discarded for as not knowledge. So if I do not have the definition, how am I figuring out like what knowledge is? That means that we already know what knowledge is, right, in our mind. So that's the problem of criteria of knowledge, and it says that there are two problems in these claims. Like I can only identify instances of knowledge provided I already know what the criteria for knowledge are. Like you can identify an instance, you can find out like this is an instance from where you're gaining knowledge or you're getting some knowledge already. If you already know what the definitions or what criteria of knowledge is, like what is knowledge and what is not knowledge, right? That's the first criteria. Second is I can only know the criteria of knowledge are provided I am already able to identify instance of knowledge. For example, if you say chemistry, you will go through different instances of phenomena, and then you can come out with the criteria of what this is and what that is, right? What is knowledge and what is not knowledge in that situation. So you have noticed that you will notice that we go in circles or very uncut, you know, it gets very difficult, like how do we now define knowledge, like what is the way of getting into defining knowledge, right? So that's what here we are going to discuss in this particular chapter. uh, there was a proposition by Roderick Chisholm. She says we start with particular cases. He suggests something which is called as particularism, and one is methodism. Okay, particularism is something where we figure out the uh, uh, how do I put it? Particularism in epistemology, if I say, it's something that how what do we know about it, right? uh, it's like this thing is like, what do we know about this, what do we know about a bicycle, or what do I know, that thing is something which is, I think, is particularism. And methodism is something where we say how do we know that particular thing, like how do we know that this is a bicycle. And the particularism say that we must answer the what before we question how. And methodisms, they say that we must answer the how first, and then we should analyze what. Now this is something which is like the Chicago school kind of thing, where the Chicago school says that we must find out the what, and then we should discuss the method, right? And the Austrians tend to focus on we should know how, and we should put an epistemological foundation kind of thing, and then only we can understand what, right? So this is something which the argument is like, uh, if we do not know how can we explain what? And if we do not know what, how can we discover how? So this is the problem of methodism and particularism. Any questions?
No, actually have a different opinion about it.
Yeah.
The problem isn't if or what knowledge is. You can actually have knowledge to discover what knowledge is. You don't need to like not know anything before defining it.
Yeah.
So if you know something beforehand, you don't
So
really
I
like
mean, this is
disqualify yourself from defining it.
see, I mean, this human ability is something where you have a question like, is knowledge to discover knowledge is already given to you by whatever, like intuition. If you say intuition, then can you trust intuition every time? Your beliefs also come from intuition, so that gets you into another kind of problem. So this is not something which I have a sound answer. I don't think even philosophy has a sound answer right now. Let's Yeah.
Actually, Ayn Rand did this whole thing.
Who?
Ayn Rand.
Yeah, she did it. I
Oh,
don't know like how she got the knowledge to understand what is knowledge and what is not knowledge. And I don't know how, like, she never spoke about the method, right? She also
uh,
uses a priori, she uses non a priori, so I don't know.
she actually disqualifies the distinction of priori and a priori. So it doesn't matter. I mean, there's the whole book about it.
Okay, I will check her out. This is Gettier cases. Gettier cases is somewhere like, for example, you have a clock. It was working. It suddenly stopped working at 8:20. Uh, you happen to check that clock for the time, and you check it at 8:20 and the time is 8:20, you have every justified reason to believe that the clock is showing the right time, right? uh, by chance or by anything, you have a truth, you have a justification that this particular thing is true. Whereas another person whose clock was working at the same instance, he or she looks at the clock at 8:20, precisely at 8:20, and the clock which is working is also showing 8:20, right? So here one of the person has true knowledge and or true belief, and one of them believes something as true whereas it is not. So how do we distinguish this kind of cases? So this type of cases are known as Gettier cases, and this is the problem of true belief. Like what is required, like even if you have justification of particular case, it doesn't mean that it's a true knowledge or you have gained knowledge just because certain thing has come true. So it's all about belief. There is a presupposition like here is a question of presupposition which comes in uh, like you presuppose that if something is working or behaving in this way and it has behaved in the same similar fashion in the next instance as well, that means that you have gained knowledge. Sometimes you may not gain knowledge, you might be lucky enough. So that presupposition is that you already know what is true, whereas you presuppose, like you make that this belief is true. There is nothing that you doubt, and your results and everything is matching to on that particular instance. Like for example, the men before uh, Copernicus, they Copernicus revolution, they believe that the sun used to rotate around the earth. They had no reason to believe otherwise, so they presupposed that and formed all their theories. So that's presupposition. So you may look into this again. It comes into the problem of criteria. Like epistemology doesn't have anything to say, like a proper definition of criteria. But like even justified true beliefs, not you have a presupposition that on basis of other instances you presuppose that the next instances would be true, or you may have the false belief, but there is no justified reason to believe that knowledge is false, and therefore you believe or you go forward presupposing that the knowledge you have is true. So just like the person who looked at for the time, checked the time at 8:20 and got it right, and there was no reason to doubt that belief. So or even be aware that he had the wrong belief or the wrong knowledge. Similar way, we can have lot of knowledge which we consider to be true. We presuppose that it is true, and there is nothing that makes us doubt this knowledge. So those are greater cases. So that's the chapter. Uh, Next is structure of knowledge. This we will do in the next lecture. And anyone has any questions?
No.
Where is Shashango?
Yeah, I'm around. Don't worry.
Okay, okay.
It's just that I
Anyways,
can't contribute to this chapter because, like, I have not actually formed my thoughts based on what the author has written. Because I've not read it.
no issues. The only reason that I have chosen this book because this book is, theory of knowledge is far more complicated. And I think this was
Yeah,
much
I
more
mean,
easier. And
this is I think like it was pretty much the basics of it.
yeah,
Uh, might get complicated later on, but yeah, it's the basics of it.
cool, sir. So I'm done with today, and let's continue with next three chapters next time, next lecture, same time, Sunday.
Yeah, a lot of people got disconnected or
Yeah,
uh,
happens, right? Anyways, no issues.
can't
See
be
you next
think
time.
it's so bad in India. Anyway, yeah. See
Good
you
night,
next time.
brothers. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.